Before we dive into this chilling story, don't forget to hit subscribe, smash that like button, and drop a comment, because what you're about to witness will haunt your mind long after the screen goes dark. The night air over Tremé was thick with the smell of damp asphalt and the faint trace of Creole spices drifting from late-night kitchens. Outside Dooky Chase Restaurant, the neon sign flickered, casting a sickly yellow glow on the quiet street. Inside, laughter and clinking glasses had just started to fade when it happened. Sudden, violent, and chaotic. A figure stumbled through the doorway, eyes wide with terror. The echo of gunfire ripped through the night like a scream that refused to end. Patrons dove under tables, servers dropped trays of food as bullets shattered plates and glasses. Outside, sirens began their wailing approach, but inside, time seemed to stretch, each second pregnant with panic. The first victim was a young man, 19, who had been chased down from the corner of the street. Police would later describe him as the intended target, but at that moment, he was just another body pressed against the cold tile floor. 3 women, tourists from out of state, were caught in the crossfire, one clutching a child's stuffed animal that had somehow survived the chaos. All 3 would be rushed to the hospital, one in critical condition, another clinging to consciousness, their lives now suspended between hope and tragedy. Detective Marcus LeBlanc arrived within minutes, his boots splashing through puddles as he scanned the scene. The restaurant, known for its history and community ties, had become a crime scene in seconds. He crouched beside the body, eyes narrowing at the angle of the gunshot wounds. Whoever had done this had been methodical, patient, and terrifyingly precise. As officers secured the perimeter, security footage revealed a chilling sequence. The suspect had trailed the young man for blocks before cornering him near the entrance. He had fired, then vanished into the night without a trace, leaving chaos in his wake. The video showed a glimpse of the gunman's face, partially obscured by a hood, but enough to send chills through the investigative team. Inside, the restaurant smelled of blood, fear, and fried food. Witnesses were shaken, unable to comprehend how a place so steeped in tradition and community could erupt into violence in a heartbeat. One server whispered that the shooter had muttered something before opening fire, a name perhaps, or a warning. The detectives filed it away, knowing it might be the key to unraveling the motive. But there was something else, a tiny, almost imperceptible clue. A crumpled piece of paper under the victim's hand, edges soaked in blood, with a hastily scrawled message, "You should have listened." Detective LeBlanc's gut twisted. Was this personal? Was it revenge? Or was it a message meant for someone else entirely? As the night deepened, investigators combed through Orleans Avenue, looking for any sign of the fleeing gunman. A pair of sneakers, torn and abandoned near a dumpster, suggested he hadn't planned to leave empty-handed. And in a shadowed alley behind the restaurant, officers found a bloody handprint smeared on a brick wall, leading to a service door, one that hadn't been on any map of the restaurant's back entrances. But when they pried it open, they were met with darkness and the faint sound of a whisper that seemed to echo from nowhere. Something was hidden there, something the police hadn't expected. And as Detective LeBlanc flicked on his flashlight, the beam landed on an object that would change everything about the case. It wasn't just a shooting, it was the beginning of a story far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. The city had barely caught its breath after the shooting, but Detective Marcus LeBlanc knew the calm was a lie. Orleans Avenue, with its flickering streetlights and echoing jazz notes, now felt like a hunting ground. Every shadow could hide the shooter, every passerby could be a witness or a threat. By first light, the investigation had exploded into chaos. Officers canvassed the Tremé neighborhood, knocking on doors, questioning residents, and combing through every inch of the surrounding streets. Witnesses described the shooter as fast, focused, almost like he knew exactly where to go. None could offer a clear identity, but several mentioned a silver sedan parked nearby, its engine idling, waiting for someone or something. Inside Dooky Chase, the cleanup had begun, but the atmosphere remained tense. Tables were upturned, shattered glass littered the floor, and the scent of gunpowder lingered. The crumpled paper with the message "You should have listened" was sent to the lab for analysis, but even Detective LeBlanc suspected its meaning would not be simple. Someone had planned this, not just the act of violence, but the warning, the chase, and the chaos it left behind. Forensic teams worked methodically, photographing every angle, collecting shell casings and dusting for fingerprints. Outside, the blood-stained alleyway and service door became a crime scene theater, a silent testament to the violence that had erupted mere hours before. And then came the call that would shake the investigation further. A security camera from a nearby liquor store had captured movement just before the shooting. The footage was grainy, but it showed the suspect meeting someone, briefly, in an exchange that was quick and deliberate. An unmarked envelope, a nod, and then the gunman disappeared into the crowd. Detective LeBlanc frowned. The implication was staggering. This wasn't random. There was a network, a connection, a plan.
Meanwhile, the victim's family arrived at the scene, grief-stricken and demanding answers. Friends whispered about past conflicts, mysterious threats, and rivalries the young man had kept hidden. LeBlanc noted the patterns. He had lived fast, flirted with danger, and perhaps underestimated the enemy who had finally caught up with him. The 3 women injured were in stable condition, but the emotional toll on them and their families was immense. Each tear, each whispered recounting of fear, painted a picture of terror that no one on the street had expected to witness. The detectives soon discovered something else. One of the women had noticed the tattoo on the shooter's wrist, a small symbol, a circle enclosing 3 dots, barely visible beneath the sleeve. A clue that was insignificant to some, but to LeBlanc, it screamed of a gang or an underground group, one that had roots deeper than the city streets. This led to questions no one wanted to answer. Was this personal revenge, gang retaliation, or something even darker? As investigators chased leads, a twist emerged. The envelope captured in the liquor store footage wasn't empty. It contained photographs of the victim, candid shots taken days earlier, showing him with people he shouldn't have been associating with. Someone had been watching, tracking, and documenting his every move. And then the kicker. In the photos, the young man wasn't alone. Someone else, someone familiar to LeBlanc, was there, smiling, laughing, yet now a suspect in a deadly chain of events. By evening, the city's mood had shifted. Tremé felt unsafe, every street a potential trap. The silver sedan was spotted again, this time abandoned near the river, doors wide open, the engine still warm. Inside, a bag contained cell phones, gloves, and a small notebook filled with names, addresses, and cryptic notes. It was the shooter's map, a ledger of intentions, but it raised more questions than answers. And then came the chilling discovery that would shatter the investigation's trajectory. A second message, etched not on paper, but scratched into the wood of the restaurant's kitchen door. He wasn't the real target. Detective LeBlanc froze. Everything they had believed, every motive they had considered might have been wrong. The man they thought they understood, the victim, was merely a pawn. And the true danger, it was still out there. Detective LeBlanc had never felt a case crawl under his skin like this one. The message scratched into the kitchen door echoed in his mind. He wasn't the real target. The revelation reframed everything. The young man who had died, a diversion. The 3 women injured, collateral damage in a plan that had been brewing for weeks, maybe months. But who or what was the real target? LeBlanc pored over the stolen notebook from the silver sedan. Names, addresses, symbols. One pattern leapt out. A series of cryptic notations led directly to a nearby law firm specializing in high-profile criminal defense cases. His heart raced. Could the gunman have been after someone in the legal world, a witness, or a client who had made the wrong enemy? Meanwhile, surveillance footage from the surrounding streets revealed a figure moving like a ghost, an individual who seemed always one step ahead. The hooded suspect from earlier? Not quite. This was someone meticulous, calculating, leaving no trace except subtle signs only a trained eye could detect. LeBlanc realized with a sinking feeling that the killer had orchestrated the shooting not just to eliminate someone, but to send a message only one person or a few could understand. The breakthrough came unexpectedly. One of the injured women, recovering in the hospital, whispered a name under her breath, barely audible. Marcus, it was him. LeBlanc froze. The name matched one of the entries in the notebook. This was no random street violence. It was personal. Someone had betrayed someone close to the young man, and that betrayal had spiraled into a deadly game. The investigation moved fast. By piecing together cell phone pings, taxi rides, and CCTV footage, the team tracked the suspect to a derelict warehouse along the riverfront. LeBlanc and his team approached cautiously, weapons drawn, every step echoing in the cavernous space. Inside, they found more than just the gunman. Multiple documents, photos, and maps littered the floor, showing surveillance of several prominent figures in the city, people who had believed themselves untouchable. The web was bigger than Tremé, bigger than New Orleans itself. Then came the final confrontation. A man emerged from the shadows, not the hooded figure from the first footage, but someone else entirely, someone who had been close to the investigation, someone with access, with knowledge, with motive. His calm demeanor, contrasted against the chaos he had orchestrated, was terrifying. He confessed, not with remorse, but with chilling precision. The young man was a pawn, the attack a Dooky Chase, a distraction. The notebook, the messages, the collateral injuries, they were all meant to obscure the truth. LeBlanc's stomach churned as the suspect revealed the real target, a prominent city council member who had unknowingly crossed the wrong person months ago. The shooting was designed to mislead, to confuse the authorities, and to send a warning that nobody would forget. In the end, justice was served, but the city remained shaken. The young man's death, the innocent injuries, and the shadowy conspiracy left Tremé with scars that would not fade quickly. And as LeBlanc reviewed the evidence one last time, he noticed something that made his blood run cold. A new set of names had been added to the notebook. Someone was already planning the next move. They thought the nightmare was over, but the game was far from finished. If you think this story was intense, brace yourself for more, because in the world of crime, the shadows never disappear.